Hello, everyone. My name is Noemi Flores, and I will be sharing my project on effectiveness of a token economy system and increasing sitting behavior in a student with autism. So this project is based on my student, Charlie. So for the introduction, under rationale, I was seeking in how to increase the sitting behavior of my student with the implementation of a positive reinforcement system. In this case, I would be implementing a token economy system by providing a token for each minute of sustained seating. The intervention strengthens the likelihood that Charlie will remain seated during the instruction. It's an overall goal as a teacher that my students are engaged, and therefore, this was a great implementation to study if it would be effective in the classroom. The research question was: Will implementation of a token economy system increase the average sitting time of a student during instructional activities? Charlie is a 6-year-old first grade student with autism spectrum disorder. The baseline was observed in Charlie's highly structured level 2 special day class. This includes a class size up to 13 students. Um, in this classroom environment, we want to provide individualized attention, implementation of a consistent routine to create a predictable and structured learning environment, and a low student to teacher ratio with additional support from paraprofessional or aides. For social validity, Charlie's difficulty with remaining seated during instruction directly impacts her ability to access academic content, and participate in classroom routines, making this a social significant behavior to address. Improving her sustained seating behavior supports her learning, increases her ability to engage. Um, there's been many research discussing token economy systems, and previous research supports the effectiveness of a token economies increasing desired behaviors across various settings and populations. Um, Many researchers found that reduced off-task behaviors in a third grade class using a token economy, while Vergasen and Gravina showed similar success in increasing employee interactions at a zoo. DiFulio et al. Demonstrated the fundamental behavior principles behind token systems using pigeons, confirming tokens and condition reinforcers. Together, these studies highlighted that there is an evidence-based practice and value of token economy systems. In this experiment, I implemented an ABA design. It's a single subject design focused on Charlie, a single student. So in this reversal design, I wanted to examine the effect of a token economy system on sustained seating behavior during my whole group math instruction by alternating the baseline and intervention phases. So the dependent variable here that we are measuring is Charlie sitting at the designated desk facing the instructor. I wanted to make this dependent variable very clear, very observable for anyone collecting the data. I wanted to be very specific that it is Charlie sitting at her designated desk, not just any desk, and it's her facing the instructor. In this case, it would be me. And the independent variable was the token board that was implemented on her desk with 5 stars. Um, so in order to collect data, the staff used a whole interval recording data sheet during our 10 a.m. math instruction. So we structured 10 minutes, and at every 1 minute interval, if Charlie was observed to be sitting at her designated desk facing me, she would get an X for success. If she did not meet this criteria, was not at her designated desk, or was not facing me, then it was an O. And at the very end, the total number of success intervals, so therefore the total number of X's, was converted into a percentage. And so during the baseline and intervention phases, it was covered over a 20-day period. So during the baseline phases, which were days 1 through 5, and then 11 through 15 when it was re-implemented, no reinforcement system was used. Therefore, Charlie was not presented with the token board. She was not working for a preferred item. Charlie's seated behavior was simply observed and recorded using the data sheet, in this case, a whole interval recording data sheet. However, in the intervention phases, which were days 6 through 10 and 6 through 20, where we implemented the token board, the token board system, as I said, was introduced, and Charlie had the opportunity to earn tokens, up to 5 tokens, for remaining seated at her desk um, during each interval, which she could later exchange for a preferred item. So this could be anything tangible. This could be music. This could be a break, snacks, edibles. Simply, it could be toys. So anything that she preferred that day. So the results during the initial baseline phase, which were days 1 through 5, Charlie stayed seated only about 20 to 30% of the time, as we can see here. Simply, this is showing that nothing was introduced to her yet. This was just a moment to take raw data, just to observe, on average, how successful she's sitting at her desk facing the instructor. However, when the token board was implemented in days 6 through 10, Charlie's seated behavior automatically increased up to 80%. This is showing that the token board was being effective. However, as a teacher, I'd like to make sure that this is not just just a one-day thing. And I wanted to see if there was consistency throughout this token board, if it was really the token board working, or if it was simply just Charlie having a good day. An ABAB design is very effective on reviewing if a implementation is being effective by removing it and reintroducing it. So that is what I did. We reintroduced it in days 11 through 15. And as you can see, Charlie's seated behavior just dropped back down to 30 to 40%. It's close, reaching back to her baseline phase, just showing that without the token board, she had no motive to remain seated. And then once we implemented the token board once more, her seated behavior increased up to 90%. Therefore, the results demonstrate that the token board intervention significantly improved Charlie's seating behavior during both the intervention phases. Her percentage of seated intervals rose sharply, more than doubling compared to the baseline phase. This is demonstrating a strong and consistent positive impact of the token system on Charlie's seated behavior. The results of this study showed that implementing a token economy system significantly increased Charlie's sustained seated behavior during the math instruction. When the token system was in place, Charlie's percentage of success seating intervals rose dramatically compared to the baseline conditions, demonstrating that there is a functional relationship between the interventions and the target behavior. These findings suggest that a token economy can be effective and practical for increasing classroom engagement and attention in students with autism. And overall, it's a goal that as teachers have in the classroom, that we want to ensure that our students are being engaged and have equal opportunity to access curriculum. And um, however, that can become a little bit more difficult when your students don't sit for as long and are not actively engaged for a long period of time. And so the study was limited by its focus on a single student and one classroom setting. Um, so moving on, if I were to do this experiment again, knowing that the token board is being effective for one of my students, I would like to carry out using multiple baseline design across participants and across settings. I'd like to know that it's for all my students and not just one particular student. And I'd like to know that it's happening in outside locations, not just inside my classrooms. It's important for me to know that this tool is a great tool to use consistently across all locations. So implementing another design like multiple baseline design can be a great way to see the data on that. Um, so it reduced the ability to generalize their results. And as I said, if it was conducted again, future refinements would include involving multiple students, testing the interventions across different subjects, different times of day. This was during our 10 a.m. math time. So, would it be equally carried out if math time were moved to the end of the day? So, just exploring more ways to study if the implementation of the token board is 100% effective. And just exploring ways to gradually fade the use of the token board to at some point promote independent behavior. And here is a list of references that I used for the literature review and my method section. Thank you.